Hello and welcome this evening to our Glasgow Loves EU lockdown live stream. And this evening, we're really pleased to welcome Liam Campbell, who works in recruitment for the ski industry. He works for a small UK company who employ mostly UK workers to work in the EU. And we're going to try and talk about what difference will Brexit make to these workers and maybe other areas of the travel industry as well. Are they likely to be affected? But we'll probably mostly be focusing on the ski industry. And skiing is a brilliant sport. I've got a picture here of Scottish skiing, just to give a plug for that. I think those are all from Glenshee, but I think we'll see in a minute, Liam is getting one up there with a nice view from France, a window in France where he was working. We've also got this evening, we've got Bernd, who's doing the technical bits, and Jenny, who will be looking at social media questions. So if you've got any questions, please send them in and we can try and ask those to Liam. Can you give us, Liam, some ski outbound travel industry facts and figures to put the sort of whole value on this travel industry compared to other industries that we've got in the economy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the outbound travel industry, which the ski industry is obviously a part of, contributes about 34.4 billion to the UK economy, with 2.3 billion going to the exchequer every year. Just to put that in perspective, fisheries landed 987 million in 2019. So it's you can see there's a big distinction between the size of these two industries. UK citizens make about 70 million trips abroad every year, with 75% of those being within the EU. Outbound travel as an industry, we employ people in the UK and in EU resorts on seasonal basis and seasonal contracts. And our industry employs around 214,000 people and supports a further 435,000 in the wider economy as well. Of those employees, 25,000 tend to be seasonal workers working in the EU. So that means, people who are working in either the ski resorts or down on the beaches or in the mountains throughout Europe. And 87% of those 25,000 tend to be between 18 and 34. So you can see it's a very much more of a young person's game, but that doesn't mean that, people who are retired or anything can join the industry as well. And everybody's welcome to come and work in the mountains. So, yeah.
Okay. And how did you get into skiing and eventually working in the ski industry?
Oh, well, it goes back to probably when I was 9 years old, a bit longer ago than I'd like to admit nowadays. Back in Glenshee, funnily enough, was my first time on skis in the snow. We had a weekend trip up there from my home in the northeast, and I was wearing my dad's ski boots, which were about several sizes too big. I was wearing about 3 pairs of socks underneath, and being Scotland, it was a bit cold and cloudy and windy, but it was absolutely incredible. The scenery was sublime. The feeling of throwing yourself down a hill on slippery planks, it's a feeling like no other and very, very addictive. After that, I went away and had a holiday in Italy with the family, and then that was when I first met some British ski hosts, and the penny dropped that people actually do this for a job. So I very quickly went, I want to do that. I have to do that. So fast forwarding to when I finished university, I went and worked a ski season in a small Spanish ski resort called Bequera. And just, it was incredible. The scenery was amazing. The Spanish culture, to be involved with living and working in such a beautiful place. It is an experience like no other. It's obviously was very, very hard work as well, as you can imagine, working long hours, solid for about 4.5, 5 months. Gets very tiring, but by the end of it, I was desperate to do another one. And I was asked to come back again and again with the company I work for, and eventually bullied the owners of the company to give me a full-time job. So I ground them down and managed to turn it into a career. So I now work in the head office as a customer service manager, where I speak to guests on the telephone, manage their bookings, solve any problems that they might have. But also a key part of my role is to recruit the over 30 members of staff that we have working in our ski resorts every winter, and getting them trained up and ready to welcome our guests on the first weeks at the season in December.
Mm-hmm. And who would typically have been these people that are working in this sort of as seasonal workers, and what sort of age are they? I think you mentioned that already. How long do they tend to stay with the company? And if there are problems with the recruitment from now on, who would be most hit, do you think?
Well, like I said, it was I think it was 87% of the seasonal workforce tends to be 18 to 34. So, you've got people who are out of school, out of university, looking to, or people who have started a career and then are looking for a change and a break. It's ideal situation for those people to do it. They can come in, work a few years, and then get, you learn skills of hospitality, those sorts of skills which can't be taught. You have to talk and engage with people, solve problems, deal with difficult guests or customers to be able to work out how to respond to them in future, and the hard work, I think, that comes with it. They tend to be younger, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're all younger. So, for example, it's at the company I work for, we have a number of young people working as chalet hosts or bar staff, things like that. But we do have some of our managers tend to be people who have retired and are looking to get out and enjoy the mountains. So we have people who've from all sorts of backgrounds, whether it's the army or accounting or anything. Just so long as the only requirement is that you have a love for the mountains, you can work hard, and you can get up every day with a smile on your face. That's all we ask for, basically. It's not a lot to ask, but it obviously is a very challenging environment to work in. But we are looking for, it's not just in our industry. You get people who are working in all sorts of jobs, whether it's chalet hosts, drivers, even in the summer, you get kayak instructors, hotel managers, bar staff there. So it can vary. The opportunities in the mountains are probably as many as there are snowflakes on it.
Brilliant. And I think you told me some of the sort of great stories of where people had ended up going after working with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a seasonal job. People do come back and work season after season. They can go from working a winter season to a summer season and come back to working a winter season, and they can just chase the seasons as they go. So we've had staff who work with us who have worked with us for over 10 years now, and others who I've worked seasons with in the past have progressed and gone in some fantastic directions. So I've worked with a chef who now works in a Michelin star restaurant in Budapest. Another one of my friends set up her own chalet in Austria. And myself, I worked seasons and I've turned it into a career. This isn't just something that people do for a short period of time and then go away and then join the real world, as my mother likes to call it. There are opportunities there. People can make careers out of it, and people do succeed and have a wonderful time whilst they're doing it.
That's good. And you said, was it Jenny Jones? Had she worked in skiing as well, the Olympic skier?
So Jenny Jones, the Olympic snowboarder, she started out as a chalet host, I think it was. I forget which ski resort it is, but she started out as everybody's done, cleaning rooms, cleaning toilets, cleaning showers, all the rest of it, but fell in love with snowboarding and then became a gold medal athlete. So, there are some incredible opportunities, and it's not just the hard work, but you can get the good parts as well.
And presumably the people are bringing back then skills. If they come back and work in this country, it's going to be a benefit to the UK as well.
Oh, entirely. You've got these people who probably haven't had a proper full-time job before, may have worked part-time in a bar or something like that. But this is a job that is all day, every day for 4.5, 5 months. These people are going to learn skills and become harder working, have a work ethic. If you've been pushing all week to make sure your property is looking good and the guests are having a good time, and then at the end of the week you get that 5-star TripAdvisor review, the buzz and the thrill you get from that is, it can't be explained. It's something else. So they learn these transferable skills that will follow them in everything they do. Whether it's, and even help them in their personal lives as well. The amount of times you have to learn to fix a toilet flush or something like that becomes in very, very handy later in life.
Oh, that's good. And so we're now coming to the key question really of what we're talking about, is basically to recruit these individuals who go out and work abroad in the EU. Could you first of all tell us how easy or difficult it's been up till now, and from what you've managed to learn? And obviously we're not saying anything 100% definite because it's all very new information, but what do you think may be the difficulties from now on?
Well, I'll start with, talk about how it happens now. So what you'd be basically doing is we'd be recruiting staff on UK contracts and then seconding that staff member abroad. So be working for a UK company and then working in a foreign country. So it'd be a small amount of paperwork to fill in. So, as you would when you're joining any new job or business, you'd go through all the HMRC stuff, your contracts, things. The only additional bits of paperwork would be making sure that they have a European health insurance card and then signing what's called an A1 form. So that's basically to mean that they are staying in the UK for tax purposes, so they pay all their national insurance contributions in the UK, which obviously saves a lot of confusion from a employer's point of view about learning different countries' welfare systems and things, and what payments and things have to be made in regards to that. And the hardest part of that job was just finding the right staff. So nowadays, however, it is a bit more challenging. So I'm sure, like everyone else, you've had a look through the trade agreement and things that's been agreed thing. It made me question my ability to read English. So I felt like I couldn't quite understand all of the legal jargon. So it's really is not friendly to people like myself who can't speak legal speak. So from what I can gather is the trade agreement only gives permission for visa-free trips for short period business trips for a specific purpose. Now, those specific purposes don't include our staff working a ski season, for example. So if you want to work in a country, you're going to have to apply for a visa to work there. Now, the visa process, as I understand it, is very complex and convoluted, and most importantly, takes a long time. So whereas before we could recruit our staff and offer them a job and they go and work in the country, now we have to, before we even start to look at those jobs, we have to advertise that job for 8 weeks in France. So for example, if I was to say we were to recruit a member of staff who were wanting to work in a ski resort in France, that's the best way to do it. So we'd have to advertise that job for 8 weeks in France and show proof that no French person was able to fill that role. Then we'd have to apply for a work permit for that position. That can take up to 3 months to come through. Then the member of staff has to go in person to the French embassy and then apply for the visa before they can even enter the country. That once again takes many weeks to months to come through. And at any point in that process, the individual can be rejected. So it offers British employers no certainty as to if the staff member they're wanting to offer the position to will be able to actually even work in that country. And that's just, bearing in mind, that's also just for France that I've outlined. These procedures are going to be subtly different for every different member state if you're wanting to second staff abroad there. So it becomes very risky for an employer to try and recruit UK staff. So with that level of uncertainty, it's pretty much game over for wanting to recruit British staff working in these countries, because if we're not going to be able to recruit the people we're interviewing, we're going to look elsewhere. And it's not necessarily that we want to, but if we're forced to do so, these 25,000 25,000 seasonal workers, or seasonaires as they like to be called, will find themselves out of their jobs and out of their careers. So it's tragic.
Yeah. And presumably, even if you're recruiting people from abroad, that's going to be really tricky to interview and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
for them.
we tend to recruit British staff in the past because we like to meet our staff face to face. You can see you get the measure of a person a lot better than you can face to face than you can over a webcam. So that opportunity for us is going to make recruitment a lot more challenging now because we're not actually going to meet these staff face to face until we go out to resort. So it presents whole manner of challenges that we're going to be dealing with in the future. We've thankfully got a bit more used to Zoom and Teams and things through in recent months, so we're a bit more versed to get ready for it. But it's not going to be the same, and we're not going to be able to have the same level of control and staff that we might have had in the past.
Yeah, gosh, and the long-term planning, and the travel industry is probably one of the industries that has the really longest term planning to do.
Yeah, I mean, we have to make money in a short defined period, so everything builds up to this time, so this winter period. So our season runs from early December through till middle of April. So during that time, it's guns blazing, running, all systems go, and we spend from April until December getting ready for winter. So everything builds up towards it. So we want to get our recruitment done as effectively as we can and make sure we get the right people on board to come and join us.
Good. So sounds like this could be difficulties. Jenny, have any questions come in on social media?
Yeah, there's just one question about language skills. So have you found that British people would have languages skills to take up these jobs, or do you find it difficult to find people with the language skills?
Languages are, we always like to recruit people. Well, if a foreign language is preferred when we do our recruitment, but it isn't essential. So now the company I work for, we're dealing with predominantly British guests, so we can get away with people having a more limited set of language skills. However, there are some businesses, whether it's running a pub or a restaurant, if you were to work there, then you would be required to have a bit more language skill to be able to speak with the locals at that point.
Okay, good. And so there's another issue that you had highlighted, which looks like there might be problems with, like, the recognition of qualifications of, like, for example, ski instructors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a confusing one. I think there seems to be a lot of a lot of to and fro and across numerous industries about this. So there seems to be this line where there is no mutual recognition of professional qualifications. What exactly that means, I don't think many people are quite clear of. There are provisions, it seems to be lined out, that's saying that there is scope for future, like routes for mutual recognition in the future. But how long that is going to take to get there, who's entirely sure? It's certainly a far cry from the Canada-style agreement that we were promised many months ago. But it's unclear what it stands for. Whether it's your qualifications that are issued by UK accredited bodies may not be able to work in Europe. So people who have, for example, a British instructor's qualification may not be able to continue their profession whilst in the European Union. This doesn't just affect ski instructors, obviously, it's affecting financial advisors and accountants as well. So it is something that really needs clearing up. But I do suspect that in the future this will change. However, if you're you're a ski school in a ski resort in Europe and part of the competition has been taken away, you're going to hope your government drags their feet for a little while longer to push some of that competition further away. So, I would say it's maybe a challenge coming up in the future for a lot of ski instructors. Yeah. So it may require them to pay thousands of pounds to get locally recognized qualifications. So, you're talking a huge expense for these people who don't necessarily make significant quantities of money to start with working in ski resorts. So it's going to be very challenging and probably put a lot of them off continuing their careers and have to go in a new direction, which is going to be a great shame for British skiers who want British instructors out in resorts.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, because we've been abroad, the old famous, is it Benzines or something like that? There's a lot of communication needed to teach skiing. And
oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Some of the local French, Austrian, Swiss, Italian instructors are fantastic, and their language skills are incredible. Their grasp of English shocks me. Some of them, to the level that some of them even know Geordie slang as well, which was quite a shock. But some British skiers tend to sometimes want a British instructor. They can get across things in a bit more of the cultural barrier may not be as pronounced. They may find it easier just to discuss and bounce off a British instructor than it might be to an Italian or an Austrian, for example.
Right. Okay. Good. And so that's another worry. And then you said maybe, something about airlines or something you'd come across.
I mean, there's some interesting things about airlines, and like I said, I'm not sure at all what this means in terms of the future, but it seems to be that the UK airlines in the future will not be able to fly internal flights within the European Union. So that means, for example, if someone was wanting to fly from, what normally happens at the moment is a flight may go from, say, Newcastle to Tenerife, then stop in Madrid, and then come back to the UK afterwards. That's not going to be possible in the future under the trade agreement. Airlines have predicted this. They have got their contingencies in place. They've set up local companies within the European Union, so they are able to carry out these internal European Union flights now. However, it is defined that UK airlines have to be founded and majority within the UK, and that means any new airlines that set up won't be able to operate these internal flights. So what that means for the future, I can't say, but it does throw yet more legal red tape and difficulty for airlines and travel providers. As a result of the pandemic, things are a struggle to start with. The last thing we need is more challenges thrown in our way.
Yeah, I know, because it could add expense. I think, did you listen to the Institute for Government podcast on that?
I haven't, I'm afraid. So
because I think they were talking about that as well. So it was just after you had mentioned that
worth it.
It's the one from, I think, Boxing Day. So if anyone's looking for that, it's worth listening to about the trade deal. Jenny has said there's a few questions on social media.
Yeah, we've got lots of questions coming in social media. I think you've got a fan in Thurso as well who says hello.
Oh no.
And he's asked a question. He said, what's the attitude towards UK workers in EU countries at the present?
I think there's workers when British workers work in resorts, there's very much a community spirit of the seasonal workers. So the seasonaires themselves have their own subculture. So, it's basically when you're out in the mountains, you go to this resort, which is far flung, it'll take you about an hour to get to the nearest town, some nearest city. They're all locked in together and everybody gets on well and makes friends, and they all work in their different businesses and things for 5 months, and everyone has a great time. I would say there's a lot of difficult questions asked to British seasonaires at times, especially in the recent months. I'd having to explain what with a lot of French people asking me, what does Brexit mean? Why would you vote for that Brexit? And I was like, well, I didn't vote for Brexit. I think no one actually is sure what Brexit means, this, that, and the other. And it just seems to be a lot of confusion and sorrow, I would say, more. I think there's ski resorts are going to be very, very different and be missing something from British seasonaires being there. And it's a wonderful culture, and it's a wonderful culture to be part of, because it's a group of many nations, many beliefs, many ages, many backgrounds. You know, I think it's going to be a great loss when British seasonaires don't work there anymore. I think a lot of European Union seasonal workers will miss them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And we've got another question. Will the Brexit deal and its lack of mobility frameworks for younger, less experienced workers force you to recruit from EU or Schengen countries?
It's something we're certainly looking at. You know, I think the difficulties that recruiting from the UK presents makes it a very unattractive prospect, you know, to have to go through all those legal loopholes in terms of visas and all the other requirements that we're going to have to do. And it's not necessarily that we don't want to, you know, we want to continue recruiting the fantastic staff we have in the past and to welcome back returning staff who worked with us as well. So, you know, there are massive risks, and I think the days of seeing those 25,000 seasonaires traveling abroad every year are going to be a thing of the past unless there are unless there is a sea change in the current position from both the UK and the EU in the rights of seasonal employment within Europe for British staff. So, yeah, hopefully that does change and we can get British seasonaires back out. But in the meantime, it is looking like we are going to have to focus on a different pool of employees.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're here to campaign to try and support all these workers. I know it's a huge number of people.
It is, and you know, when you look at, for example, 25,000 seasonal workers, you know, it's a huge number, and you consider how many hours fishing got in the negotiations and things. Not saying that fishing is any less important, obviously, but you're talking about 12,000 workers within the British fishing industry compared to the 25,000 that's just seasonal workers, and not counting the ones that work in the UK to support them. So it's something that has been completely ignored throughout the negotiations, and you know, we have been thrown under the bus. You know, it's not being discussed or considered.
I know, and the profit that the companies bring back in just from the value of those holidays being sold, it was millions,
exactly.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was billions. It was billions, 2.3 billion to the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yeah, gosh.
So, you know, it'd be a serious hit to the economy. And, you
Yeah.
know, money is all well and good to talk about, you know, it makes the world go round and things. But, you know, you're talking about 25,000 young people. You know, this is people who are starting out in the world and starting their careers and gaining skills and gaining employment, and the chance to work in a European Union, in Europe, in a different country, is some of the best experiences of my life. You know, I've met friends for life and had learnt skills that have followed me through the rest of my life. It's not, skiing has this belief that it is a very much an elitist sport, you know, and things, and it does cost a lot of money to get into the sport. You can't deny that. But offering employment to the ski resorts and out to the mountains gives people from less affluent backgrounds the opportunity to get out to the mountains and have that experience and enjoy it. Otherwise, they would never have that experience. You know, people who can't afford to go on a school ski trip or can't afford to pay for the flights and the ski hire for the week and the accommodation. You know, it opens it up and brings a whole new breed of people in and different viewpoints and different attitudes. And then they go out there, they learn learn new cultures, new skills, learn to love their fellow seasonaires and things, and then bring that back to the UK. And you know, it's going to be devastating loss to the UK economy, not just monetarily, but on a societal level as well.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well said. I know. Oh, good. Jenny, was that everything? Have we covered all the questions that people sent in?
There's one more question. Do you expect that seasonal workers will eventually be covered when services are negotiated with the EU?
I want to say yes. I'd love that to be the truth. However, there is difficulty in terms of nations feeling more protectionist towards their nation's employees. It isn't easy for people to, mountain communities are very proud of the culture that they build and the people who go and work there. So they want to make sure they're getting the best. So being able to choose them from European Union, Schengen countries, it is beneficial to them because they've got this joint attitude of Europeanness. For people outside of that Europeanness attitude, maybe it might be more challenging. I feel that in the future, you're going to be looking at maybe a sort of working holiday visa opportunities in the future, maybe that people can apply for and get positions for. But however many years that takes to come through, or even if it's going to be valid, and at that point, will it be cost effective for companies to do that? Whilst we were doing our recruitment, like I said before, we are recruiting people on UK contracts. So we have to learn one nation's employment laws, pay one nation's social security, pensions, health, national insurance, all of those sorts of contributions. Now, for a company that goes to France, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, Spain, Bulgaria, whatever, you have to have your contracts for each individual country now. You can't just have one contract to cover all staff. You have to do it per country. And the hours that are involved with that are going to be incredible. So it's whatever the situation is in the future, the ski industry and any seasonal business is going to find it a lot more challenging, no matter what is negotiated in the future, to send the staff abroad, if they are from the UK or from the European Union.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and so you also highlighted that there's a organization that all the travel companies got together. That's sort of, can't see it. Oh, sorry, it's white on white, so you can't see it. But it says Brexit and British outbound tourism. It's the Industry Impact Assessment by SBIT. So
yeah, the seasonal businesses in travel.
Right. So all the companies got together, I think you said. And
yeah, it's a group of travel companies who have, got together to share knowledge, share advice, and campaign for the rights of seasonal workers. We've been hammering away at it. They've been hammering away at it for 4 years now, and there's been some discussions and mentions of it, but for the most part, it's the young people who go and work seasons have been ignored by the government.
mm-hmm.
So, if there's great campaign they've been running called Save Our Travel Jobs. So it's on, I think it's the Action Network. If you please can search Save Our Travel Jobs, sign the petition, and demand some recognition that seasonal workers contribute to the UK economy, and try and find a way to secure their rights to work in Europe.
Okay, we will share that. Yep, thanks very much. So thank you, Liam, and also keep us up to date if you hear any more, and then we can post the latest information alongside this video. So hopefully everybody watching's found that useful, and we'll try and fight for these workers to continue having these opportunities, which sound fabulous. I wish I'd done it, and maybe I still will. Who knows?
Well, the door's always open. So.
Good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.